Disney's got a big mess on its hands with the new Snow White movie. By October 2024, the company is already drowning in problems. Disney's Snow White remake, set for March 21st, 2025, is turning into one of the most controversial films in recent years. Firstly, Lucasfilm is a mess, Marvel Studios is struggling, and now their live-action remakes are falling apart, with Snow White leading the disaster parade. Ever since the first trailer dropped on August 10th, the backlash has been relentless. The damage control for this film is off the charts. Rachel Zegler, if anyone still considers her a star, is scrambling to salvage what's left of Snow White 2025. Critics are tearing it apart, and rightfully so. Director Mark Webb and writer Greta Gerwig are doing everything they can to shield this sinking ship. First, the outdated themes of the 1937 original sparked debates about sexism. Then came the uproar over the portrayal of the Seven Dwarfs. Followed by the film getting dragged into America's culture wars, lead actress Rachel Zegler only added fuel to the fire when she openly criticized the original movie, calling it weird and slamming Prince Charming's kiss as problematic. And that wasn't the end of it. Arguments over representation took stage, with some complaining about Disney's changes to Snow White's character, and others targeting Zegler's casting because of her Latina background. Now, with political tensions adding another layer to the chaos, Disney's attempt at a safe, profitable remake is turning into a PR nightmare. Disney has already slashed millions from the marketing budget, and now they're sidelining Zegler from major appearances in 2025. Her planned spots at the Oscars, New Year's Eve, and other promotions canceled, for now. But Zegler isn't backing down. She's fuming over the growing boycott. In a desperate attempt to defend the film, she fired off a rant, calling out so-called posers who claim to love the classic Snow White, just to attack this new warrior version. She insists the story had to evolve to fit the modern woman, and that critics, especially those against the film's diversity, are just being toxic. The bluff was obvious. Critics who swore they'd never watch this film would be first in line, desperate to see Rachel Zegler. That was her claim. The film would succeed, she insisted, no matter the so-called boycott. Families might be protesting, but not the majority. This was a movie of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and anyone against that, foolish, misogynistic, even for refusing to watch a woman on the big screen. The same tired rhetoric, the same exhausting defense. Rachel Zegler, already one of the most insufferable actresses in Hollywood, had tanked nearly every film she touched. This one wouldn't be any different. Her accusations, branding critics as fake fans of Snow White, or the Brothers Grimm just to stir outrage, only highlighted how far she'd go to push her narrative, dodge blame, and play the victim. Her frustration was obvious. This film, she claimed, had cost her so much. Sitting in costume for 16 hours a day was her grand sacrifice, one she believed deserved respect. And of course, she had an enemy. A toxic wave of men and women convincing the world to reject her so-called powerful modern Snow White. One that wasn't weak, but strong. One that stood against society's threats. Rachel Zegler's insistence on creating a Snow White that's not weak speaks volumes. It almost feels like a dig at the classic animated version, implying it's inferior. She went on, pushing her narrative that this film was long overdue. She claimed Greta and Mark had to change the lore and redefine Snow White's spirit and values. As for the name, Snow White now gets it because she survived a blizzard. That's right, no longer because of her pale skin, but because she survived a blizzard. According to Rachel, this new twist should be the new norm for Snow White, pushing aside the traditional lore for the sake of modern relevance. Grasping at straws, it sure looks that way. Rachel's trying to sell optimism and confidence in a film that deep down, she likely knows won't perform well. Disney knows it too, which is why they've dialed back on their marketing budget and cut down TV spots ahead of the March release. It's desperation in full swing. She ended with more of the same, claiming that people criticizing powerful female roles were embarrassing themselves. And as for the online backlash, it was nothing but copycatting. She swore the film wouldn't be a box office failure. Ignore the signs that suggest otherwise. Despite all her hype, it's clear Disney is struggling, and Rachel's attempt at damage control are only making things worse. The biggest wave of criticism now comes from pro-Palestinian supporters, with the boycott Divestment, sanctions, BDS, movement calling for a boycott due to Gal Gadot's vocal support for Israel. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler are supposed to bring this movie to life, but instead they're making headlines for all the wrong reasons. On paper, it probably seemed like an easy win for Disney, a modern take on a classic fairy tale, a massive budget of over $300 million, and a lineup of well-known stars should have guaranteed success. Instead, the film has been drowning in controversy from all sides. Disney's Snow White remake has gone from a troubled production to a full-blown political battlefield. What started as a debate over modernizing a 1930s fairy tale has now escalated into an international controversy, fueled by the Middle East conflict. At the center of it all are the film's two biggest stars, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, who stand on opposite sides of the issue. Zegler has been vocal about her pro-Palestine stance since 2021, while Gadot, a high-profile Israeli actress, has repeatedly shown her support for Israel. The divide between them became even more apparent after the October 7th attacks. Gadot condemning Hamas and accusing the international community of ignoring Israeli victims, even helping organize a screening of a film about the attack, though she reportedly skipped it for safety reasons. Meanwhile, Zegler urged her followers to push for a ceasefire in Gaza, where tens of thousands have died. The tensions didn't stop there. When Gadot posted the Snow White trailer, her comment sections turned into a battleground. Some flooded it with Israeli flags and praise, while others countered with Free Palestine messages and Palestinian flags. Zegler later fueled the fire by celebrating the trailer's massive view count, while slipping in a Free Palestine message that racked up millions of views. Now, with the BDS movement actively pushing for a boycott, Disney's $300 million gamble isn't just facing criticism, it's caught in a political storm that shows no signs of dying down. From the moment Disney announced Gal Gadot as the evil queen, pro-Palestine supporters made one thing clear: this movie wasn't getting their money. The boycott calls flared up again when the trailer dropped, and the backlash hasn't slowed down. Some praised Rachel Zegler for risking her own movie's success to stand by her beliefs. A few even said they'd watch the film just to support her. But the bigger message was louder. Boycotting Snow White was the only way to make Hollywood listen. With March 2025 creeping closer, Disney's big-budget remake is drowning in controversy. What was supposed to be a safe bet, reviving a beloved fairy tale with fresh faces and a massive budget, has turned into a PR disaster. First, people fought over whether the movie was sexist. Then came debates about the Seven Dwarves. Then America's endless culture wars over race pulled it in. Now, with two lead actresses caught on opposite sides of a global conflict, the movie's future looks even messier. What started as a fairy tale reboot has turned into a headache Disney never saw coming.